So then we will look at the Z parameters.
Yeah.
So that is the case where you are going to apply V1 and V2 and find out what I1 and I2 is.
Yeah.
That is the second case. So we will write it in exactly the opposite way. So V1 is some function.
Yeah.
So some function
I1 and I2.
Correct. So some f prime of I1, I2, and V2 will be some g prime of I1 and I2.
Yeah.
Because I took f and g here,
Correct.
I am using some other parameter. Right? Some linear relationship if you have a two-port network.
Yeah.
Just like we wrote I1 in terms of V1 and V2 using Y, in this case we will have to write V1
Yeah.
as some linear combination of I1 and I2.
Correct.
And that will be using these Z parameters.
Yeah.
Z11 I1 plus Z12 I2. Sorry.
Basically the same logic of.
Same logic as what we did before. So the units will be of impedance rather than admittance, and V2 will be Z21 I1 plus Z22 I2. So this will give you the Z parameters of the network. And same way, just like we wrote it in matrix form, we can write the other one in the matrix form as well. So now your V1
and V2.
and V2 are now the Z matrix.
Z11, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2.
Correct. Times I1, I2.
Okay.
And same way in matrix form, no? V is Z times
I.
And this is what my professor used to say, write it as Z times I,
Yeah.
so that you know it is valid for
Yes, yes. So this is the Z matrix,
Z matrix,
like the Y. Okay.
like the Y matrix. So these are the Z parameters of the two-port. And now you can see, you can measure any two variables.
Yeah.
You can now see other types of parameters as well, no?
Correct.
So you do have Z parameters, Y parameters, then if you apply V1, I1 and measure V2, I2, those are a set of parameters I believe called ABCD parameters. So you're relating the input to the output parameters to input parameters, if I'm not mistaken.
I think for transmission lines,
For transmission lines, it is useful.
ABCD. Yeah.
Right? Correct. So
Then there is something called H parameter.
H parameters are there and G parameters. And you have inverse ABCD parameters if you want to. So, and for high frequency, you can also use S parameters.
Correct.
Where you have an impedance, source
Yes,
impedance for
yes.
V1 and V2. There are lots of parameters. But I think at this stage,
This gives
these
a
two
good
are
understanding.
good.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So Y parameters and Z parameters can be imagined as being useful for the student right now.